Welcome to ETF Leaders, powered by New York Stock Exchange. I'm Lara Crigger, Editor-in-Chief of ETF Trends and ETF Database, and I'm joined here by Will Rhind, who's the founder and CEO of Granite Shares. Welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. Good to be here.
Glad to have you. So there are a lot of challenges in the market right now, but I want to ask you a little bit about the opportunities. What do you see are the big opportunities waiting for investors in 2022?
Well, look, we have the highest inflation in the economy since the 1970s. We have the
That's an opportunity.
quarter, the best quarter for a long, long time for commodities. Pretty much every commodity is up significantly on the year. Stocks and bonds down. So the story of 2022 so far is you have to have some exposure to commodities in this environment. So the opportunity for investors is how to hedge themselves against these inflationary risks that we're seeing, and commodities, as we know historically, has been one of the best ways to do that.
Should investors be thinking about commodities in any different way this year?
I think first and foremost, they just need to have exposure. So if you look at the 60-40 portfolio, which is 60% US equities, 60% US bonds, that's lost money over Q1. So it's the first quarter that portfolio has lost money since the crash of 2020. So a lot of people are going to have a nasty shock when they're open their statements after Q1, especially obviously if they had not had any exposure to the commodity market, which was up significantly. So I think now investors are asking themselves, how to hedge this inflationary exposure. And obviously, as we know from the 70s, which was the last massive period of inflation that we saw, commodities, particularly gold, is the best performing asset class of that decade. And so people are now looking to get exposure.
So you have a number of ETFs in the Granite Shares lineup. Do you have a favorite?
I don't have a favorite. I love them all equally. But I'd say the clients have a favorite, if I could say that, in terms of inflows, this quarter, and that's undoubtedly been our broad commodity ETF, ticker code COMB or COMB, as some people like to call it. That is our broad commodity strategy that tracks the Bloomberg Commodity Index.
And why has that been so great for investors? Why do you think they've been going for that one?
I think that what investors are reading about every day is oil prices sky high, gas prices at the pump, food prices, and they're looking for a way to hedge those risks. And the way to do that is in broad commodities. And something like COMB, that has exposure to the three main groups of commodities: energy commodities, metal commodities, and agricultural commodities. So you don't need to pick, or you don't need to have a view on whether oil is going to outperform gold or whether nickel is going to outperform wheat. You don't need to be a commodity expert. You just need to know that there's a broad diversified exposure, like an S&P 500 type exposure for the commodity world, and you can add that to your portfolio.
This has been ETF Leaders, powered by New York Stock Exchange. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.